This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Author U, your guide to book publishing. And we have kind of, let's say it's a triple header. There's three of us on today, and we're all very experienced with social media. We're experienced with marketing. We like to tap dance with Twitter and LinkedIn. We do all kinds of goodies, and we've all done them individually on that. And one of the great things that the Author U sponsor has coming up at actually the first Saturday in February, and I would encourage those of you who are in Colorado, register for this event so you can be there in person. Those of you who are outside of Colorado, for heaven's sakes, register and we will send you the video of it so you can, and any handouts that come with it, so you can participate at your leisure, because social media and marketing go, number one, hand in hand. I personally believe that social media is the town hall of your marketing today for any author out there, and that it's always changing. It's an ever-changing environment. So with me today, I have two experts. One is Erin Sell, and she is a social media strategist, actually. She does consulting, and she speaks with authors and businesses all over the world about the power of social media. She's helped thousands of business owners, entrepreneurs, and execs improve their online presence at the same time of saving some money. Erin is the mastermind behind the inaugural Social Media Day Denver event in partnership with the Colorado Women in Social Media. And as I said, she speaks all over the area as well as the country. So we're going to get into some really key elements on Twitter. Twitter is actually my favorite social media play around, followed up with LinkedIn. So we'll come back to that. In addition, we have Deborah Jason, and Deborah is the author of a multi-award-winning book called The Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget, and all authors love shoestring ideas. She's also a speaker. She has intense copywriting experience, so we'll probably have a few questions that we delve into the whole copywriting area. And she really gets into being a marketing mentor. She was recently the recipient of the Rocky Mountain Director Marketing Association's Creative Person of the Year award. And that one of the things that Deborah will be talking about really is this whole marketing power in what you should be doing and what you can do literally for free, what you can do for mini costs, without breaking your bank. So Erin and Deborah, or what Deborah was picking at, welcome to Author U, your guide to book publishing. And this will be just a conversation with questions. And what I always love is ahas that you've seen and seeing authors, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs consistently make these mistakes. And I always wonder, why does this keep coming back again? But it seems to. Erin, what kind of experiences have you had in social media strategists that you see that are consistent that authors would make?
Well, I think the first thing that I would say that people are consistently making the mistake of doing is not being consistent. Social media is all about being consistent in what you're doing, and it doesn't mean that you have to be on all day, every day. It's just a matter of, if you're going to be on, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a certain time, then do it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a certain time. Don't go, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then be gone for 3 weeks and come back and expect your audience to still be there.
And so well, I think that, that actually happens. I see a lot in blogs. People who start blogs, they're so enthusiastic, and then they get blog exhaust, and then they
Yes.
just stop, which is a huge mistake. What about you, Deborah? What kind of mistakes do you see that are consistent?
Well, I kind of like what Erin is saying, because one of my sayings is be consistent and persistent. But what people do is sometimes give up too soon. Or, for example, with books in particular, some people, and I hope you'll agree with me on this, Judith, some people think they have to wait till their book is out before they start marketing it.
That is one of my rules, is you start marketing before
the book is out. Yeah,
long
so
before. Yeah.
For those people who are authors, I think that's one of the common mistakes that they make, is they go, oh, well, I can't say anything about my book because it's not out yet. But I think you can really start to build a buzz and create a community long before your book is actually in your hands.
I think one of the fears they have is of not starting that buzz factor is authors so often think that their title, their message, their concept is so unbelievably unique that someone's going to steal it. And therefore, I can't tell anyone about it. The reality is there's very few unique things. There may be some twists and turns, but it's really, to me, it's going in and nailing you as maybe a pioneer of this twist, maybe going in and becoming the go-to visible expert using tips and tricks in the social media realm that will position you into that.
What you're saying is true, because, there's a lot of books about marketing. There's a lot of books about social media.
A zillion.
That didn't stop me from writing my book, because I wrote from my own experience, and that's one of the things in marketing, I think probably all of us have heard it, is just to be true to yourself. And you're going to have competition, but you could also collaborate with some of those people that you might consider competitors.
Well, I think that's true. So let me now hook on to what you're saying about not marketing too soon. And then, Erin, what can you get going on in social media without getting in the overwhelm? Because I think that you'll both agree, whether it's marketing or social media, that the overwhelm factor comes roaring down like the tsunami of all tsunamis for many, many authors out here.
Absolutely. And that's something that I talk about a lot in presentations that I do, is to focus on one thing. A lot of people think that, to get started on social media, you have to be on all the platforms everywhere. And that's just, in my opinion, that's impossible to do. Even as a social media marketer, I'm not on every platform actively. I think that, you find the one platform that either resonates with you or resonates with the people that you're trying to reach, and you really hone in on that platform and become the expert and, be excellent at that platform. And once you've kind of mastered that platform, then maybe you start adding in more.
Exactly. So learn it.
On that,
yeah,
because,
absolutely. Jump.
Both of the chapters in my book is about how to eliminate that overwhelming feeling you get from social media. And what Erin said is so true. I think we're alike in that way. When I speak, I tell people, if you feel overwhelmed, don't try to do it all. And look at where your market is. And then look at which platform you also enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to be as Erin said, be persistent about it. So if Facebook is where your market is and you enjoy being on Facebook, then, like Erin said, start with that. And then you can move on to something else.
Yeah, and I will add to that. I mean, if it's not something that you really enjoy, then that is going to come across to your followers and the people that are watching you. They're going to get it that you don't really like this platform.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there are little tricks and tips. Like, I said that in the opening. Twitter has always been my preferred, because I like things fast moving, quick. I can get in and out doing type of things, and I can set things way up ahead of time, and I just don't have to think about it too much. which I like. And then I can add into things. But one of the things that I found that was really helpful, and I watched a client of mine grow his Twitter following just very, very quickly. And all he did is he put up, he's a runner, and his book will be, it's going to be one step at a time. And he's done over, 500 marathons. It's a stunning number. And that he was doing the pre-work, as you said, Deborah, start building that, start getting going on your marketing. So in going to that, and all Jim did is really he put up some type of a motivational clippy quote. That's all he did. And he, before he knew it, he had 30,000 plus followers.
Wow.
Just pushing things around for just encouragement. They were encouragement little deals. And I know one of the things that I have done, embrace, and it takes a year to do it, but I have a poster for every day of the year. And I've done a poster with, what weird day is it today?
Like the crazy calendar, like today's bacon day or pie day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like whatever the day is, I've got a poster for it. And I did a poster with an image on it, for an actual image on it. And then I have a plain Jane poster, with some kind of a linen type background or weather and that kind of thing. And then what I do is I have just the words on it. And so no matter where I am, my VA will always make sure there is something on my feed if it's just the poster. And that's just a free thing that you can do. And it could be, I have quirky days, but I also have quotes, a lot of quotes. And I have a little book that I wrote called Snappy, Sassy, Salty, Wise Words for Authors and Writers, which has 250 of my own quotes. Every one of those is on a poster as well. So
absolutely, yeah.
So you can weave them in. So all of you listening in is that whatever your book is about, and I don't care if it's fiction or nonfiction, you've got expertise. And it could be, like I just finished a book that is in layout right now for an author. It's a historical fiction. It deals all around the Celtic time, a zillion years ago. And what that does is it brings in, and she has become a phenomenal researcher of that era. Okay, so that's a skill. You can offer little tidbits and put things out, and I'm telling you, they're like little magnets, and they start bringing them in, and they have them all together, and that's what you really are after, to really make that happen.
That's great.
For me.
When I had the first draft of my book, or even while I was writing it, I went through and highlighted all those things that I thought, oh, this would make a good meme. This would be a good meme, and I created memes all from stuff in my book that then I shared on Twitter and Facebook and, LinkedIn, whatever social platforms that I'm on.
Well, let's come back to that. We're going to take a quick break here. With me is Erin Sell and Deborah Jason. Erin is an expert in social media, and Deborah is how to market your book on a shoestring budget. Love that idea. And we're going to come back with more tips and tricks of what you can do to be really out there and successful as an author. This year, 2017, let's make this the year of your success. This is Judith Briles. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? Author You will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at authoru.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so Deborah I think it was Deborah who dropped that in. We went break. And so, and coming back to that, Deborah, on maybe what are some other tips, or maybe before we leave that, because I really opened the first segment on mistakes. I'd like to hear from you other mistakes that people make, authors make, that you come across.
With regard to marketing or copywriting or both?
Anything. And you know what, Deborah, your expertise also, you were a copywriter for a couple of decades. What are some of the... Oh, okay. So we should do a whole show on copywriting, by the way, because I'm doing a book and I have to have a come to book meeting with the author right now. And I said, this is not proofing we're doing here. You need
Is that like a come to Jesus meeting?
Yeah, I call it a come to book meeting. I need to see you in my office and plan a couple of hours. And it's really not a simple copyright proofing than the move or two. It's massive rewrites, and which is totally different with what our engagement was. And someone has already gone through it, and then I go back through it again, and I'm more creative and actually harsher in some things. But I think that what I've seen is that I'm going to give her, I'll give her the whole thing. She can decide what she wants to do. I'm going to do the whole first chapter, give her all the tracting with the dirty and a clean so she can see what it looks like, and she can make a choice. Mm-hmm. But I think it's always hard when authors see that stuff. I mean, I know when I got my first book back from, I signed with St. Martin's Press initially back in 1980. Mm-hmm. And I got my first book back, and it was like, oh my God, what have they done to my book? They've ruined my book. They've taken out all my good stuff.
This is my baby. What did they do to it?
I know. So I've always tell author, listen, if you get a hard copy back or whatever you do, get your favorite beverage. I don't care if it has stuff in it or if it doesn't, just get it. And I want you to just go through from the first page to the last page and do not do anything. I just want you to go through it and go through. And I'm going to tell you, guarantee that 90% of the time you will agree with everything that editor said to do. You need to step away. This is your ego bleeding all over the place. I get it. But you need to step away.
Well, when I wrote my book, are we on air right now?
We are on air, yeah.
Oh, okay. So when I wrote my book, my coach said to me, I want your first draft to be a D-. And I said, what?
How's that? Yeah.
Write. Just sit down and write.
Yeah.
And don't go back and rewrite and edit. Just write.
Yes.
And for me, that's hard, especially as a copywriter. I go over things and I rewrite them. But he said, don't worry about that. You'll get to the A+ part, but first start out with the D- just to get everything down on paper.
That's right. Dump it out. Just dump it out.
Just like a brain dump.
Yes.
So that was really valuable for me. It was hard for me to do, as I said, because each time I'd go sit down to write another draft, another chapter, I'd want to go back and read what I wrote up to that chapter, and I'd find myself fine-tuning. But I'd remind myself, okay, just keep writing.
Right.
So
the mistake is trying to edit it for spelling and grammar from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's, it depends. I had my own self-imposed deadline in my mind as to when I wanted my book done. But, so, I was, anxious. And then, I don't know if you want to go into this. It might be a separate subject. But, then I hit writer's block. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, even though I had an outline, I still had writer's block. And it became, oh, God, now what do I do? Well, go look at your outline. No, I don't feel like writing that chapter. I don't really want to write that chapter. And I had to give myself permission to take time off and say, okay, just do something else.
Oh, yeah, and that's always a good thing. And it could be just, go to a movie.
Right. And talking about mistakes that authors might make, that could be one of them, is to not give yourself permission because you've got in your head, I've got to get this done. But for me, what happened was 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I wasn't writing. And then I started getting worried. For me, what helped was I changed my environment. So I went to the library and started writing at the library. And that made all the difference for me, was just to get out and do it in a different spot.
Well, that's essential. Erin, what about you? When you are coaching individuals in social media, because we all make mistakes here, and doing that. And one is they try to kiss everyone at once, and then they just go, oh, screw it, I'm not even going to do it. I hate it. Or who hasn't said something like that?
I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I think it's kind of funny. It's interesting to me. Sometimes the posts, going back to social media, since that's my area of expertise, but sometimes posts that actually have a grammatical error or some sort of mistake get the most interaction and engagement because people love to tell you and point out your errors.
I know it. I've had that too because I.
It's just interesting to me that those get the most eyes on them. So it's almost a good idea to make a mistake on purpose every now and then. You don't want to make a mistake, but it happens. We're all human. And I love the idea, Deborah, that you said about getting out and, changing your environment.
Uh-huh.
A lot of us are entrepreneurs, and, we're either sitting in our house or sitting in an office by ourselves and, don't necessarily get out and into the world as much as we should. But going to a coffee shop or going to find a park to work in or just getting out of your environment, I think, is a great idea for, just kind of invoking that inspiration that you may be lacking.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Judith, you said it too, go to a movie or go take a walk.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you'll get inspiration that way, just clearing your head a little bit.
Actually, I'll cook. I'm a cook.
You'll cook?
I'm not a chef.
I'm coming over to your house.
I'm a good cook. I'm actually a good cook. And I'll diddle around, or people will say, like we had some friends over. We bought a new home. We moved at the end of the year, and we're doing a total gut job and renovating everything, every frickin' room, and building out the offices. And the kitchen now is going on in the offices. I'm so excited to see I can walk across the floor without knowing I'm not going to get nails in my feet. But that, that's going to be done here in another week, which will be a huge change. Well, I decided to invite some friends over to see renovate. They're all wondering what in the heck's going on here. So I just really made a lovely, very simple dinner, though. I did lobster bisque, and I did, I can't remember what kind of salad. Oh, I did a wedge salad, and then a dessert. That was it. And doing that, and so they're all kind of, what in the heck did you do? Well, that actually rejuiced me. And so I think that what all of us are saying is, for any of you who are on overwhelm, whether it's a writer's block, whether it's, oh my God, I can't market, and I'm going to tell you, you got to take off here. I've said this before, those of you who are my constant followers, that when that book is done, you remove the CWO, the Chief Writing Officer, and you transition to the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer. You have a product to sell. And I am rabid about that. But sometimes you got to take this little break to get the juices going so you can refuel yourself, because there is a heck of a lot going on during this process. And I've been there, Erin's been there, Deborah's been there. We've all been there, and we know what you're going through. So I want to do a quick transition and get into Twitter a bit, because I know, Erin, you're going to be really digging into the wide world of Twitter, and certainly now, I guess we say now, President Trump, but that he literally took Twitter by the strings and ran his campaign on Twitter on that. So let's talk about Twitter talk. What kind of jargon do we need to know? What kind of language is important to understand in that hemisphere?
Well, and I feel like Twitter is kind of a little bit different than every other social media platform out there. One of the things that I definitely want to talk about next month is learning the language of Twitter, because it really is, it's like a different language compared to, Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other platforms that we have out there. It's something that you have to learn. There's so many different aspects to Twitter, as far as like the do's and don'ts of what people think that you can do the same things on Twitter that you can on Facebook, and you just can't. It's, like you said at the beginning, it's such a fast-paced platform. I mean, it's like constantly just moving. So you need to stay on top of things. You need to make sure that you're connecting with people in a way that you don't really have to do as much of that on the other platforms. I feel like the other platforms, it's almost like that's built into them, whereas Twitter is kind of, you have to make a conscious effort to really build those relationships on the platform.
You do. So what are, I mean, I put things out and I always respond. I thank people for retweets. I'll make comments. If people make comments, I'll certainly respond back. My VA actually tracks it because I can't keep track. I'm sitting, I have two Twitter feeds, one with 27,000, the other one with 41,000 on it. It's difficult. Yeah, it's a boatload. But so what would be a couple, we have 2 minutes for our next break. Let's go into a few of the language tweaks we need to be let's say the essentials. Let's start with the baby steps.
Well, I would say, you want to make sure on Twitter that if you are talking about somebody or a brand, you want to make sure that you're mentioning them, which is, I know Facebook has incorporated that as well, but you want to make sure that you are actually tagging that person so that they're being notified that you are talking about them. That way they can respond. That, again, it helps build that engagement, that relationship with whoever that is. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing is using hashtags, relevant hashtags.
Right.
Twitter is one of the largest search engines for hashtags. So you want to make sure that whatever you're using for those hashtags is something that's either related to, your book or what your audience would be looking for. So those would be my top two.
Okay, so let's come back.
Twitter.
Let's take a great. Let's come back. I want to come back to hashtags because there's some unique things that you can all do, from coattailing on other people's hashtags, common hashtags. You can make your own hashtags, and I'm a big proponent of doing that kind of thing. We'll be right back. With me is Erin Sell, who is an expert in social media, and we are just kissing on Twitter essentials, and as well as Deborah Jason, who is an expert in dealing with this author overwhelm and how to really get out and market yourself as an author, an authority, an expert without spending your entire bank account. We'll be right back. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingram Spark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with print on demand, and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingram Spark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingram Spark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's ingramspark.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, Erin was talking about some of the essentials of Twitter. One, that if you're talking about any product, and I guess, Erin, we would be also saying here that there's a lot of people who are pissy on Twitter. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So if
I think it's personally it's the most, the platform that allows you to be that way. my personal opinion of that is because it's almost like it's the person behind the screen. It's, you don't necessarily have to be like, you can be, I can't think of the right word right now. You don't necessarily have to be yourself on Twitter, like, whereas on Facebook it's your, personal page, whereas Twitter you can kind of hide behind Twitter, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of bullying that can happen here. And it does, and it has happened, and we saw that in the political election. There was some outrageous stuff that went down, but that if you're upset about that or a branding type thing, I know I had an experience in Boston where I was really unhappy about something, and I haven't made any social media contact because we're trying to resolve it. But boy, if I don't, I will be pulling the brand up very quickly with hashtags and going after what I want. And I could be doing it publicly right now, but that's not my style for doing that.
To that point, I'd like to add something, because I found I had an issue with two different large brands, and I posted something on Twitter, and they responded. Whereas I had posted something somewhere else and they didn't respond, but on Twitter they did. So in that sense, sometimes, if there are customer service issues, I think if that brand has a good presence, Twitter can be really a wonderful way for them to show that they are taking care of their customers.
Yeah, yes, I think that is a good way to do it. Here's the other one, which is not, it's a different type of social media. But if you really do have a problem with something, everyone get on Yelp very quickly and post it. I'm telling you, general managers, especially in restaurants, they read that, they follow that intensely, and they come back and respond. So just as a side note. So major brands, I
was going to add that I feel like that it's almost a double-sided thing there with Twitter. People expect you to respond on Twitter, but I also caution people not to get into, a fight on Twitter.
No.
You want to make sure that you're responding to them, but if possible, try and take it offline or have a reasonable resolution online. You just don't want to continue the back and forth forever.
No, and then if
one of the brands that I reached out to did just that. They said, please let's talk by email, and we did take it. And just so you know, I wasn't being rude online, but I was like, hey, why did you do this? And they responded, and then we took it offline and dealt with it offline.
Well, and then the other thing is that sometimes that I had a problem just the other evening with, it turns out we had a lemon box for our cable system. We would get no video signals, and you have to go online and you got all this chat, and an hour later it's saying, well, I guess maybe a technician needs to come out. That could have been resolved in 1 minute. They could have done a check. They could have resolved it 1 minute, and an hour later, well, maybe and I so resented it. It made me angry. Now, when the technician showed up at 7:00 in the morning, we had this baby resolved in 20 minutes. The whole thing was resolved because he said, yep, you got a lemon. It's got to be replaced. And it would have been so much easier. So I'm for taking it off, because I think a Twitter or a Facebook or an email exchange can accelerate where maybe a phone call can take care of something very quickly. But that's the era we've evolved to, which is unfortunate sometimes.
So many things too. I mean, you can have a conversation with a friend that escalates because you're texting, and a phone call,
something with a telephone that is really good to use.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what are a couple of other things in learning the language besides hashtags are very important? I'm a huge believer in using them. Twitter certainly was the pioneer of starting the hashtags, and going with it, and evolving in the evolution. And now, everyone's tuned into it. And I've always said to authors, if you are trying to get the attention of the media, reporters are trolls on Twitter. Is that still true?
I would agree with that. I mean, I think that it's the number one place that people are searching there for whatever it is, whatever topic they're looking for, and it's such a quick and easy way to find, all kinds of. I mean, you could be on Twitter for hours, a topic. I mean, go back to the political, but hashtag Trump. I mean, you could be there for days, right?
Well, yes. An example of that, I live in Boulder, and I don't own a TV. And when Boulder had a flood, was it 3 years ago, I think? Uh-huh. I could hear outside that the police were up and down the street, but all I could hear was, and I didn't know what they were saying. I went on Twitter, and I looked up, Boulder flood, and there I found tweets about places that were being evacuated and things like that. So in that sense, Twitter, I think, has become sort of a go-to place for fast news.
Well, it is. So.
A lot of times you're getting the news from Twitter before it's even out on, the normal news sources.
Well, which has created problems too, because you have all this knee-jerk stuff, and no one knows what what's solid, and you've got the whole faux news and all that stuff. But we don't want to go. We don't want to get into that. All right.
Yeah. I think it's only going to get worse as the years go on. I mean, with live video being the focus, so many people are doing live video, and now Twitter has live video. I only see it growing.
Yeah, I do too. So let's talk about building our tribes, our crowds, our followers, and for marketing, you certainly need that. What are some tips for Erin for building a tribe on Twitter?
Well, I think the first thing is, and it depends on where you are. I mean, if you're just starting out on Twitter, then, go set up your account and start following people. Go, if you're an author, I would say, go look at your stuff, Judith, and look at who's following you and start connecting with those people that have similar objectives, similar likes, and then to start following them. One of my big things on Twitter that I don't like is the auto DM. I don't know if either of you use it. It's just personally for me, it comes off as super spammy. And anybody that auto DMs me, and auto DM is direct message. For those of you that don't know, but I think it comes off as super spammy, and I won't respond to DMs or to auto DMs.
You can tell the difference too. I mean, an auto DM could be maybe someone follows you and you send back a direct message, thank you for the follow. Is that what you're referring to? Okay.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
when it's a personal, I just ignore those. I just ignore them, and I may even have one on mine. It's so long ago since I set it up, or referring them to. Yeah.
It used to be somewhat acceptable, I feel like, back when Twitter first started, but I think it's just gotten to the point that, everybody uses it, and so I pretty much don't even really look at my direct messages in Twitter, because I know that typically it's somebody either spamming me, trying to sell me something,
Yep.
If you want to get my attention on Twitter, then I recommend you tweet me directly, and then I'll respond.
Yes.
Well, to that point, I don't use auto, but I still use direct messages when someone first connects with me.
Me too. Yeah, I do.
And I do personalize it. But what I find sometimes is, and actually this just happened the other day, I got sort of an auto response back from someone who I actually already knew, but his comment was something about his own book. And you know what? I had already tweeted about his book, and I had already, I actually had helped promote his book. So I was like, he must not be, either this is an auto message or he's got somebody responding for him, and they don't realize that, I already have a relationship with this person.
That could very well be. Yeah.
That would actually be one of the pitfalls I would say is that's the hard part about Twitter, because it is such a fast-moving platform. And if you do have somebody helping, they don't know who you know or, have those relationships with. That's why I really think that, and I do believe that this goes across all platforms, not just strictly Twitter, but that is one of the challenges of having, a social media media manager help you, a VA or whatever it is that you're using. That is one of the challenges. I got a message from somebody I knew the other day that was their VA. I will say that they did at least say, hey, I'm so-and-so's VA, which I think makes it a little bit better, because then you're not,
talking directly to that person.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have 2 VAs, and what they do is they'll say someone has sent you a direct message, and she actually will send it directly over to me so I can respond, and she will post it back for me. But that's
what I do in my business.
That's what I do.
If I don't know, then I say I need your input.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's what I want to do. We're going to take our final break, and I want to come back and talk about tools. Both from the marketing side. I know that Deborah's told, she has talks about the thunder, creating the thunder. So let's get back and talk about creating the thunder marketing deal, and then Erin, getting into some of there's all kinds of tools that Twitter followers use. There's so many tools. So maybe you can identify some of the free and some of the fees. And what they are for. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll do our final break, and we'll come back, and then we're going to go through a whole bunch of tools for both marketing you as the expert in your book, as well as tools for social media. We're focusing on some of the Twitter side effects, but maybe Erin might want to throw in something else, because I know she has a broader reach than just Twitter. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing. It's Judith Briles, and with me today is Erin Sell of sociallypowered.com, and Deborah Jason. And we'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd, and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, final segment. Deborah Jason's with us. You can find her at Write, W-R-I-T-E, direction.com, and Erin Sell at sociallypowered.com, both experts in really propelling you and your book and your presence and your expertise out into this social media world and book selling world. So what I wanted them both to kind of think about let's get in some hot tools. And tools keep changing, and what's old, what's new, what's borrowed, and what's blue. So what can we get into? What kind of tools, Deborah, should we be looking at for really marketing our book now?
Well, we were talking earlier about memes, which are, great visuals where you could put a quote from your book. And there are some wonderful tools out there for creating those memes. If you have an iPhone, there's something called Word Swag, which is WORDSWAG. And Word Swag allows you to either pull up your own images from your photo library, or they have a library of images, and then you could put a quote on that from your book.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and they have, they also have some beautiful images. They refer to a site called Pixabay, which is Pixabay.com, which is also
one of my favorite tools. Yeah, it's one of my favorite sites.
You can go online and use Pixabay. And then if you want, there's also Canva, CANVA.com, which is a great site where you can go and create your own memes and visuals. And Canva also allows you to do them at different dimensions. So if you're using it for social, you can, have the right dimensions for Facebook versus Twitter and Instagram. Instagram, you do have to post from your phone, and I'm sure Erin can talk about that. But one of my cool tools that you were talking about earlier in creating a Thunder, and it's not my tool, it's available online, it's called Thunderclap. And if you go online, it's thunderclap.it. And this is a really cool tool when you're launching your book, because what it does is it gets people to support you, but it's not financial. So people can go to Thunderclap and say, yes, Deborah, you as the author can say, I'm launching my book January 1st. And 2 or 3 weeks before that, you reach out to your colleagues and you say, will you support me on Thunderclap? And what that means is on January 1st, they can choose whether Thunderclap will push out a message via Facebook or Twitter. So all your colleagues or your friends have to do is just click a button that says, yes, I support Deborah's launch on Facebook. And Thunderclap will automatically push out that message on January 1st. So, and you, as the author, create the message. And so when I did that, I had 130 supporters. However, I had a reach of over 1.4 million, because what Thunderclap is doing is counting how many friends and followers each of those supporters has on their Facebook network or on their Twitter feed, and that adds up. Now, I could never have reached 1.4 million people on my own. My network is not that large, but because of all the support I had, that message went out. Now, a tip that I'll give people that use that tool, and this is what I did, was to make sure you thank those people who support you.
Yes.
So on the day of my launch, I tracked, and by the way, Thunderclap has a free version, but they also have 3 paid versions. And for a minimal amount of money, they'll send out your message. Their minimum, if it's free, is you have to have 100 supporters. If you don't want to worry about how many supporters you got, you can pay, I think it's $55 now, and they'll push out the message regardless of how many supporters you have. And then they have higher levels from there. And the higher levels will also do a little bit more of the analytics. But I tracked everyone that was supporting me. And then on the day of my launch, I actually went to their Facebook feeds and their Twitter feeds and made sure I commented on those posts. But it was a great way for me to reach a larger audience. And like I said, didn't cost a whole lot of money. So you could do it for free, or you can invest a little bit, which is $55, and then ensure that your message goes out.
Okay, so let me ask a question on Thunderclap. So when you get people who agree to be a supporter, does Thunderclap then go, how do they go in and access their Facebook feeds or whatever? I mean,
I don't know what the technicalities are, but when you,
but that's what they do?
So if I say, Judith, would you support me? You'll go to a specific page on Thunderclap that says, this is Deborah's campaign, and there'll be a button that says, I support Deborah on Facebook.
Oh, and then you, then I give you my handle for Twitter, and I give you
my button, and it will ask, it accesses your Facebook.
Got it.
Not algorithm, but your information. And yes, I had one or two people that came back to me and said, oh, they want to access my Facebook account, or they want to access my Twitter account. I'm like, it's okay, but if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So the second question is, how did that translate into sales for you on your launch?
For me, that translated, and this is over time, so I sold probably about 200 books over a 30-day period.
Okay,
good. So what I also did was have partners that were, promoting me and getting the message out there, and so then I was tracking my sales, when I did the Thunderclap launch, I did it with my book through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but I also had my own page, and so I was able to look at, what sales were happening where. But when you do your Thunderclap campaign, you can decide, do I want to send them to Amazon to purchase the book? Do I want to send them to my own sales page? What I did was I also offered them bonuses. So if you bought the book by a certain time, then you got bonuses, and that required them to make sure they sent me a receipt so I could track who was actually buying it as a result of that campaign.
Good. All right. And as I've done shows on how to create an Amazon bestseller where you can pay humongous amounts of money to people to go out and do all those things and gather up those things, or you can do it in a very simple way. And I've evolved to, there's the simple way I think is the best.
But, keep it simple, sweetheart. Kiss.
Oh, God, isn't that the truth? All right. So, Erin, how about some tools that would really push a Twitter audience and create those followers, tribe?
So one of my favorite tools is not necessarily a tool. It is actually just Twitter lists within Twitter. So it's totally free. I absolutely love using Twitter lists. You can create, private lists or public lists. But it's just a great way to keep track of those that you want to keep track of. For example, one of my favorite lists is just like a list of motivational people or influencers in my industry. People that I know share good content, I put on this list, and then I can easily just go look at the list and, share out their content, which in turn builds those relationships with those people because they are notified, as long as you're using your @mention, and so they know that you're sharing their stuff. And typically, the more you share somebody's stuff, they'll say, "Hey, thanks for sharing," and that's totally free and easy to use. And let me just say, as I was doing research for tools and everything that is available for Twitter, I mean, there's hundreds of tools. So really you just need to do a Google search to find what fits whatever it is that you're looking for. Some of my favorites, and I know you mentioned like the tried and true, Hootsuite is one that I use. It allows you to schedule
me
your
too.
tweets. You can add images. You can monitor for mentions. And Hootsuite isn't just for Twitter. It's for pretty much all the platforms. Buffer is one that I have used in the past. I'm not using it currently, but it's very similar to Hootsuite. It allows you to, you can either curate content from others, so you set up the people that you want to share their stuff, and then you go through and it will show you, and you just hit, you basically set up a schedule on there. You can say, hey, I want to tweet 5 times a day, every day of the week at these specific times, and you go, say, okay, I want to tweet this, and this, and it automatically populates it and shares it out for you. But you can also upload your own tweets as well. So that's good. And both of those are, either free or pretty inexpensive depending on how many accounts you have connected. There's other ones, like Tweet Chat allows you to participate in Twitter chat sessions. There's Tribes, which allows you to follow Twitter groups based on interests and topics. There's so many, Community, and I don't know how to say it, Community or commune.it, community, not really sure. I used that for a really long time, and I never did find out how you're actually supposed to say it. But that is it's a good way to see who's following, follow, unfollow. It allows you, again, to tweet out other people that you want to make sure that you're engaging with, tweet out their tweets. You can monitor keywords, hashtags, follow and unfollow, and there's so many of the tools that will allow you to see who's following and unfollow them. I think that
we all need those. Yeah, we all need that kind of laundry list of follow and what's fee and what's free. And the thing is that Google is going to help all of you listening in to find things. And looking for them. I've used Hootsuite for years. It's the only thing that brought sanity to a lot of it. Where I could put so much on there, because I think I have like 13 streams on, so I pay, and I have a couple of people who can access it, so it's going to make you pay too. But the free thing is you can go up to 3 streams, and when you're just beginning, as like we all said, you start with baby steps. When you're just beginning, that you can start with that, and you can start building on it as you go along and learn that. So thank you so much. We're at the end of our hour. So that I'm going to encourage all of you, check out Erin Sell's website at Socially Powdered, POWERED, and ed.com. And then Deborah Jason's website that she has, which is Write, WRITE, WriteDirection.com. And if you're in Colorado, please come to the AuthorU.org meeting on February, the first Saturday in February. It's posted on the website under events, and you can register for it. If you can't be here, we always do videos, and that's the way to get it that way. And there's just solid information. It's ever changing in social media. There's ever changing in marketing. There's essentials, there's basics, but when you can hang out and listen to what other people are doing, that's where the real growth, the aha, comes. So at least for me, that'll work. I can do that. So thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, Judith, for having us here today.
All right, and we'll be back with you again. All right. Thanks, everyone. Keep on writing. Keep publishing. Have a fabulous 2017. And AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, will be the guide that you want to keep checking back with.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take you, the author, to the next level. You'll learn tips and secrets on how to create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve book publishing success by making one very simple change in your book's journey. How to avoid the publishing predators. How to create an author and book platform that rocks. Learn how to make a living with your words and your books. Learn how to publish a book that has no regrets, and so much more. For more information, check out AuthorU.org, where authors who want to be seriously successful go. And Judith's website, thebookshepherd.com. Then join us again here next week for more. It's Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific,